The following session is a psychic reading conducted by Mrs. Ross Peterson with the sensitive Ross Peterson at Laughing Gull Point, Garden, Michigan. Please clear the mind and inform us when the mind is clear.
The mind is clear.
Dear Lord, please protect this entity from all negative influences, regardless of source, and give us the answers we seek of this inquiring mind through the manifestation of truth, intelligence, and love. Amen. Would you please allow your mind to go to whom, to where, to what, and to when it is directed. The questions we have all pertain to ESP and are designed to be available to the general public in aiding the greatest number of people toward the furthering of their soul development. Please adapt your answers to fulfillment of this objective and phrase your answers to the comprehension level of the layman rather than to only the specialist. Please define ESP, psychic or sixth sense abilities.
This is a rather broad spectrum here, for cloaked under the mantle of what you would refer to as ESP are many senses, that of the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, and ninth, and unto others. For if you would look unto that, it could be defined by man as the clairaudient, the clairvoyant, that of the laying of hands, those who demonstrate that of prophetic ability. All of these are demonstrations of that of ESP, or that of sixth and more even senses. However, these are the greater portion of the entity's being, but simply not that on that of the conscious level. For as ye know, it is simply increasing awareness of thy own role and the relationship or interdependency with and to others. See?
Is it true then that we all possess ESP ability in varying degrees and that these talents are not truly extra and that they lie somewhat dormant in all of us awaiting reawakening?
It is true that they are possessed by all, and they are not extra. They should be referred to as natural, for they are simply the birthright of all, and they are dormant. However, they are dormant in that of the mind of the questioner. But take ye that of the child, and we speak of the child in that of the flesh, that has not yet reached that of the fifth or the sixth year, and they will easily demonstrate their ability. That happens is that this most natural of senses is largely subjugated, is buried, is dominated by that of the council, as up to parents and other peers, you see. And what is simply conceived as imagination by that of the parents in regards to the action of the child is actual demonstration of what you would call extrasensory perception, although this is that in its most natural state. Now, if any are willing to unlearn that they have learned and rely upon this sense, for while it is cloaked in that of primitive senses and has been with man since that of the beginning, it can be developed very easily and can be relied upon. In fact, if you do not attempt to develop that of the psychic awareness or senses, and then we mean psychic and that of soul are one and the same, for these psychic senses are to be defined as soul senses, there would be little chance of anyone experiencing real contentment as far as the attainment of that of the Christ consciousness. See?
Is it true that everyone consciously possessed these powers or abilities some time ago, but lost awareness and or the use of them? If so, what caused this loss?
All were born with it. All utilized it. In fact, you would have to explore, first of all, the concept of evolution. For evolution is, in fact. Man, in the form of of the body that is similar to that is incorporated now, but without the soul, was in this dimension for millions upon millions of years, prior to the entering in or the soul inhabiting this particular physical form. Now, if you would look into that of the book that would speak of Adam and Eve and clear away the misconceptions that exist there, and know ye that the story states that Eve did take unto her the serpent, and for this was cast forth from the Garden of Eden, this would explain the reason for the beginning of the loss of that of the same. For prior to this, all men did use it, but they did use it in satisfying the needs and urges of a daily basis, communicating with one another over distances, the finding of that of game, or that of water, or that of food. These were utilized to satisfy the necessities of life, the communication of love, the cooperative effort as of a team in order to harvest some of the wild animals as a form of food, were demonstrations of the utilization of mental communication. Now in this, it was as it should be. All animals possess this sense even now, although the animal possesses not the ability to reason, therefore relies on what man refers to as instinct. However, with that one who was known as Eve, who actually was in the flesh, and then that of the Garden of Eden that was located in ancient Persia, or what you would know as ancient Persia, Eve did touch upon this force that can be referred to by some as a snake that is located in the base of the coccyx area of the spine. Others would call it the Kundalini. Now Eve, as an entity, did gaze long and hard upon this serpent, causing it to raise and following the staff in that of the physical form, whereby all centers were open. The staff in that of the physical form is that of the endocrine system. All these centers were open simply by a command or direction of will, and Eve as an entity used this to gain power, control, or dominance over others, and in this she sinned. From that point on, it has been a fearful subject rather than that as it should be, and as such it has been passed upon down through the ages, generation upon generation, father to son and mother to daughter, that it is not to be relied upon. Yet, of course, it being natural, it must spring forth with certain peoples and at points in time to be utilized, for it is as natural as is breathing, and is the method whereby communication would work with those that ye would call upon in time of stress. For without that of extrasensory perception, what chance would there be of communicating with our angel? There would be none. Yet it can be directed to other avenues, to other entities that are in the flesh or out of the flesh. Makes little difference, for the mind knows no limits. And if ye think of the farthest star, thy thought is there immediately. See?
In all probability, will we again get to that point where we are all using mind-to-mind communication?
There is much experimentation being conducted over the major societies of the world that demonstrate a certain degree of material affluence. Now, in this study, naturally, there must be greater and greater awareness of this most basic conglomerate of senses that are existent. And as such, it will be that of the scientist first that will attempt to harness, analyze, direct, and develop these senses.